Good morning to you, Drew Hutton. Why are these comments defamatory?
Well, he's attacked my credibility and my standing in the community. I mean, that I'm an agent of a foreign power. I'm trying to undermine the Australian economy. I'm receiving money from the CIA. I mean, these are ridiculous comments, but they're also hurtful ones. I said publicly last week that I was happy to just accept an apology from him and leave it at that, because litigation's certainly not one of my hobbies. But he's come out again yesterday and said that he was being mischievous about the whole thing because he's actually trying to distract attention away from negative publicity for the LNP in the last couple of days of the election. That's why he said it. I mean, I'm quite angry about that. I feel strongly about the need for me to maintain my credibility and integrity in the public arena, and I don't take kindly to people attacking me like that.
But Drew Hutton, don't you think most Australians would have taken Clive Palmer's with a fairly large grain of salt last week?
Well, I'm not sure about that. Clive Palmer is he's a well-known Australian. He's a living treasure. He was given that accolade some time back. He's a very well-known member of the LNP and a very influential member of the LNP in Queensland. And I think there would be people who would take what he said at least with some degree of seriousness. So, I mean, I think people like Clive have got to be held accountable for the things that they say. You cannot treat people's reputation in such a cavalier fashion as this, and then especially come out and say, well, you know, wasn't I being mischievous? You know, I did it because I wanted to distract attention away from other things in the media. I mean, this is just not acceptable behaviour. He's the unacceptable face of the LNP in Queensland, and I'm a bit concerned that not one leader from the Conservative part of politics came out to upbraid Clive for what he said.
How much money are you seeking from Clive Palmer?
Oh, I have no idea at this stage, Michael.
Well, you must have some idea, Drew Hutton, or how much the question can be turned around. How much is your reputation worth?
Well, I really do need to speak to my lawyers about that. All I've spoken to them about so far is the need to send him a letter of intent, which should go out today. Like I say, I'm not interested in being a wealthy man, whether it's on the back of Clive Palmer or not. I'm just interested in my reputation, and if Clive were to come out now and retract what he said and apologise for it, then I'm quite happy to leave it at that. This is not about, you know, my ego or anything. This is just simply about a man who is going to be a very influential person in this state, feeling that he can trash the reputation of other people and get away with it because he's rich and powerful. And don't forget that this is a man who he's accused me of being an agent of a foreign power, but he's also a man that's dependent on Chinese capital to finance his China First mine up in the Galilee Basin of Queensland that's going to go right over the top of the Bimblebox Nature Refuge. So, yeah, I want to make sure that Clive Palmer and anybody else for that matter knows that if they're going to act in this sort of cavalier and arrogant fashion, that people are going to call them on it.
Drew Hutton, many people may be watching this without taking sides, without favouring either you or Clive Palmer, and will be asking very openly this morning, what's happened to the issue or the principle of free speech in Australia?
Oh, I'm a strong believer in free speech. I don't count litigation as one of my hobbies.
So therefore you'd support Clive Palmer saying what he wants to say?
Well, that's not what free speech is about. The free speech has to be accompanied by responsibility. You just can't go around accusing people of all manner of things, especially quite atrocious things. I'm a proud Australian. I'm a fifth-generation Australian. I'm the first Hutton in 5 generations to live east of the Great Dividing Range and not to be a stockman or a drover. I mean, I take seriously my role as an Australian citizen, and I'm a proud Australian. And to be told by a very prominent Queenslander who's got high credibility in the public arena that I'm an agent of a foreign power and receiving money from them, I find quite obnoxious, and I really want to call this man to account.
OK, Drew Hutton in Brisbane. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Michael.